Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to go over how I put together the inserts that I am selling in my Etsy store. So when you print them out, they come like this. So these are the personal sized inserts, and all of my inserts print like a booklet. So what that means is, as they come out, if you take them and fold them in half and keep every page in the order that they are here, then they will be in order. If something happens, you get them mixed up. Most of them have some sort of information in it, so you can figure out how to put them back in order again. The only one that can sometimes be challenging for is the monthly inserts, but you just have to match the numbers up going across and then you'll get it figured out. Trust me, I usually get 1 or 2 pages flip-flopped when I'm putting these together, but the important thing to remember is these print as a booklet. So essentially, if you think of it, when you cut them in half, you want to make sure that as you're trimming them, you're laying them open and not stacking them all on one page. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is the top page. So what I will do is go ahead and take a few pages. You can do one at a time. These are printed on copy paper. So I know based on experience, I can usually trim 4 to 5 pieces of paper at a time. So what I use is a Fisker's trimmer. I will actually link this down below in the description so you can find it. Same thing with the hole punch. I will link this down below. Both of these I believe I got on Amazon. So I will link those up so you can find them and use them if you don't have a paper trimmer already. So this is the fun part, is making sure you don't cut off too much from the start. So I usually start and line up the 2 end marks on a short side, trim that off, put that to the side, and then what I do is take that page, the side that I just trimmed, and put that up against the top. So that's now my straight line. So if something happens and the pages print a little crooked, the printer I have for some reason does print just slightly off. So the side that I know is straight, that's the one that I'm pushing up flat. I trim alongside. We get rid of that piece of paper. So this is the part where you don't want to trim all the way through. So the next cut that I make is actually the middle cut. Again, lining up the side I just cut up against the top. I'm going to pull this all the way up and trim just down until I meet the mark. I'm going to scoot this over. Make sure you're keeping these stacked if you're trimming more than 1 page at a time. Slide it back up to the top again. Make sure everything's straight. Again, not cutting all the way through. So if you look, these are not cut all the way through. It's just enough where when I go to trim this last side, everything will line up. So then I take this final long edge, cut all the way down, all the way through. I have 2 pieces of paper to get rid of, and then I have 2 sets of papers. So you'll notice I do have the name of my shop on the inside. This is the part where it gets hole punched. So you will notice that those go together. So because these pages were originally attached, what I'm doing is I'm leaving them like this and setting them off to the side in 2 piles. I don't want to stack them on top of each other because then things will get mixed up. Next set, taking another 4 pages. Again, same thing. Trim a short side all the way through. Rotate that to the top. Trim a long side all the way through. Rotate that up. These are the partial cuts that we're making. So you're not cutting all the way. Same with the next cut. You're not cutting all the way. Rotate to the final side, and this is the one that goes all the way through. So I have these sets, and obviously the pages all look very similar, but I notice the top of this is May 12th, this is May 13th, so I know that goes there. This is Monday. Monday faces against a grid page, so I know that goes there. So even if you have gotten mixed up and you don't remember which side is up, just look to see what pages match, and that'll tell you where to look. So if you happen to cut something all the way through, all you have to remember is what the actual page measurements are. So these are essentially 3 3/4 by 6 3/4. So if you accidentally cut them all the way through, just line it up with that measurement and use those. And as I say that, I almost did it. But I found it much easier to just try and get in the habit of only making 2 partial cuts before your final one. And that way you don't have to worry about measuring. You're just lining up the lines. So these are my next 2 pages. Pull this back over. This is May 15th, May 16th. So I flop that there. 24th, 25th, that goes there. This is the last page of a week, first page of a week, so you know they match up. So then you can flip through if you just want to make sure you have everything and just check that everything is in order. I know they are, so I'm not going to flip all the way through. So once you've trimmed the pages, you're going to want to hole punch them. So we'll put this to the side. Now, hole punches are very different. This one's an adjustable one, and there are actually 3 sets of lines here on the side. The personal size are actually the outermost lines on this trimmer. So I usually, just for consistency's sake, line the bottom of the page up with this bottom. It's kind of whatever you do it consistently so your pages match. So I'm taking the bottom of the page, lining it up with the bottom mark, and punching. And again, because I'm using copy thickness paper, I can usually do 4 or 5 pages at a time. If you're doing thicker paper, you're going to want to do fewer. Now, you'll probably notice that sometimes this doesn't cut all the way straight. I mean, if you were very particular about it, that's fine. My recommendation is when you're stacking them to always tap them on the inside, so at least your holes line up. So you'll notice I always am making sure that side is straight, because that means that the holes will be punched evenly. There we go. So these are ready to put in my planner. Now I always take an extra step just because I don't like opening and closing the rings all the time on my planner. Sometimes I want to pull a page out quickly. So in that instance, I grab a pair of scissors and I cut just through the edge of the hole. So I'm just cutting a slit straight into the outside. It doesn't have to be 2, so it's wide. You just want it to be able to slide over the ring itself without opening the rings up. So this will essentially be the same thing for the pocket-sized inserts. On the hole punch, you're going to want to slide the rings in a little bit so that they line up. My recommendation is, if you don't know what the settings should be, is to take a piece of scratch paper and do a trial punch and see if the holes line up with your planner. That way you're not wasting one of your insert pages in case you happen to be wrong. Don't ask me how I know that. It might be because I've done that before, especially when I'm working with several different sized planners. All right, so these are my 1 page per day inserts, organized by week. If you purchase the tip-ins, let me show you how those get put on. So these are my weekly menu planning list inserts. All right, so these are meant to be attached to one of 2 pages, either the first page behind the week index, or if you want, you can actually attach it to the page, the blank page after the week, this one. When I was using 2 sets of tip-ins, I would put the to-do list tip-in here and the menu planning insert here attached to this grid page. Because I stopped using the to-do list tip-in, this one I just kept putting it in the same place because I knew where I expected it to be. I have made this to where the grocery list will be on the top. If you can't remember how to attach it, essentially just kind of hold this down and kind of give yourself a little indication, this is the direction I want it to go. After that, it's just not scientific, thankfully. Fold it kind of wherever you want it to be. I usually have a little bit of a margin there, not a super lot. Try and get it fairly straight. That's close enough. And then what I do is you can use glue, you can use a tape runner. It's kind of up to you, whatever you have laying around the house. I have billions of tape runners, so that's what I use. And then I put this down. So what I tend to do is line up the edges. Put it down. And then you have the tip-in attached. So the grocery list is on the front, and if you open it up in your planner and you're flipping through the week, you can see what the menu is. I did design it this way because the grocery list I look pretty much like once a week whenever I go grocery shopping. But the weekly menu plan, I actually use that a little more often if I'm planning something, trying to figure out what I'm doing for dinner. Maybe I need to rearrange meals, that way I have it set so I can have it open as I'm flipping through. Now, if we were going to be attaching this to the back side, let me find that blank page again. It's a similar principle. It's just whatever you attach to the back side will flip out and it'll be open. The to-do list does look very similar to this. It just says to do at the top. The back side of the to-do list is blank, so if you want to make notes, continue the to-do list, you can do that. But again, same principle. You're wanting to have it sit this way, so you make an indication to yourself that's where you want to fold it. You go ahead and fold it in, and then you glue it on. So there are some people that will trim off this large margin piece and just actually use washi tape or something similar to attach it straight on. They'll do a piece of washi tape on each side. That's another way to attach it, but it's whatever works best for you. So just because these are my inserts and I'm not attaching it to this page, I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. The other thing too, this is my preference to have this margin be this thick. If you want, you could trim it smaller. It's completely up to you with how you want to have that. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of that tape runner, but I'm not going to waste money. I'm just using them up and then I'll get something different. Now the tip-ins, there should be 4 per printout. So for most months that should work. Occasionally you'll probably have an extra month, but then you can just print another set and then you'll have extra ready to go for the following month. And there we go. So those are all assembled now. You have the month title, or you have the week title page. My tip-ins attached to the grid page. I have a page per day, blank page, next weekly title page. So that's how all of the inserts are done. Now, you will probably notice if you are looking at multiple months, I go ahead and do it by week because that's how these print out. So if you were just starting out, you may need to purchase the current month if you're looking ahead trying to purchase the next month. I do try and discount previous months after we are most of the way through the month. That's the current policy. That might change in the future. But that way, people who are just trying to get started can go ahead and get the inserts maybe to catch the last few days of the month, because most of them did overlap in some form or fashion. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions about how to assemble these, please let me know. Like I said, they all assemble booklet style, so essentially they print out like this. I've cut them apart and I'm just folding them in half. So the first page is here, the right side of the first page is here, the left side of the first page is on the back, and everything just kind of folds up together. The rest of them print out like this. The only ones you don't have to worry about that with are the tip-ins, because they're all the same. So you don't have to worry about keeping those in order because you're basically just printing the front and the back together. So it doesn't really matter. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate giving it a thumbs up. I'm also going to link this on my Etsy store. The link to my Etsy store is down below. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you are interested in any specific inserts, please let me know that as well. Now, shop updates I am putting on my Etsy and my Facebook pages. So links to both of those can be found down below. So if you'd like to keep up with what's new, what's coming, what I'm working on, you will find all of that information there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!